Hello, I'm Lady Bernadette Williams, and this is my husband, Bishop Lewis Williams, and we are the pastors of Household of Faith Church in Jacksonville, Florida. And we are so happy to have been asked to be a part of this series, Marriage Matters.
Amen.
So we're going to be answering a few questions about marriage. We have been married it will be 47 years in March.
Yeah, this is
47 years. So we just want to answer the question first, honey. Why did marriage matter? What do you think? What should we say?
Well, I say it matters because when we gave our life to the Lord, that's when it really matters.
Yes.
To me personally, and because it represents the relationship with God and His church.
Amen. Because I just believe that the marriage is a reflection of God, like my husband say, in the church, and it's an example of love, and that's what it should be, and healing and forgiveness.
Amen.
The next question, let's say, what you think made our marriage what it is today? What has made it?
I say honesty and communicating with each other.
Yes.
You know, being real and learning how to talk. As we learn, I'm learning my wife, and I'm still learning my wife. We forever learning, especially the female. They know us real well, but we got to be checking them out.
And I feel like one of the greatest things with our marriage is love and forgiveness. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, because the next question is, have you ever had a moment where you had to make a decision to fight for your marriage? And I was telling my husband, I think I need to answer that question. And like I said, we've been married to be 47 years, but we went through a test in our marriage. About in the 9th year of our marriage, it was a lot of things going on. We wasn't saved, and we were living our best life, we thought. And so it began to be, infidelity in our marriage, and also it was a child. I was at a point where I was just ready to just throw in the towel with our marriage, but I heard the Lord speak to me and say, don't do it. And He said that He was going to change my husband. Long story short, He did do that. But it was a child. Yes, it was a child going outside. So our marriage is one of healing, forgiveness, love, learning to communicate, learning to talk to each other, because we didn't know how to do that. But after that, and God saved us too, it has been totally different. Okay, our next question is, honey, what lesson did you have to learn about yourself? Our marriage really is our marriage really a mirror of us, who we are?
The lesson I learned was the value of marriage, in our marriage especially, the value, the worth of it. Because anytime during the day we buy things and we watch things that we like to have, and we'll see the price tag on it. Is it worth this? How much is it worth? Can I save for this? So we need to kind of like do the same thing with our marriage. It's worth it. And we should get married for the longevity, not just being married. Some people get married for that moment. You got to realize this thing's supposed to be for life, for longevity. Right. Sometimes it don't work out like that, but you got to have that mindset like that.
Yes, and I think that's what made me fight for my marriage. I realized that it was valuable, it was worth it, and like the Bible say, two shall become one. It was a process, and I'm glad that I stayed into it. The next question is, what is the strength of our marriage? What do you say? What is the strength of our marriage? Even going through what all we've gone through.
Well, quite naturally, everybody watching this, the saved, the unsaved, so I'm trying to have a balanced answer. I say, once again, being truthful. Amen. Being truthful with each other, the strength of it, because when you're trying to be truthful, you got to be real, got to be honest, you got to be committed. That being truthful brings everything in. You can't leave nothing out, then that truth becomes a lie. So when it's truth, then you got to bring everything is inclusive in to make it work.
Amen. And you have to learn. I think the greatest thing that I came out of it with is a prayer life. Learning how to pray, for my husband. I always say I prayed you out of that life that you were in, and then my husband got saved first, and then he ministered to me, and then we got saved in the same month. Both of us. March of 1984, we got saved in March of 1984, March 16th. And then March 22nd. And ever since then, we've been going for the Lord. It's been some challenges, but we've not quit. I love the old saying, staying together through thick and thin. Growing together. And then the last question they asked is, could we give some advice to some couples that may be struggling? And like you say, everybody that's going to listen to this may not be saved. but we know that marriage was it was instituted by God. It was ordained by God for a man and a woman to be married and then have children to be added, after that. So what could we say to a couple that's maybe
the advice
struggling?
I would say to you is seek advice from real people. Check their marriage out, see the principles and the values, because God said, with no counselor, the people shall fall, or two of counselors, their safety. And too many people want to get things right, but maybe not want to take advice. And don't take advice for what you want to hear. Take advice for what's truth and what's real.
Right.
And how you know that, check them out. How you want your marriage to be.
Right.
What you're looking for. See if you find that in someone that can give you that type of advice and live in it.
Right, because I wish we would have had counsel, and my husband does. We do counseling because you need help, and sometimes I tell people, sometimes they come and they want counsel, and they think that their marriage is going to be just like ours, but God has a plan for yours. And I always tell people, in the midst of our marriage, before we were saved, a lot of things went on, and I chose to. Infidelity, we both did it. But one thing I tell people, being a born-again believer, that shouldn't be a choice. That should not be what we would turn to, but we should turn to God, get advice, and then we should desire to stay together.
I pray we said something to help you with advice that we gave to be a motivator. And thank God for being part of this series. I thank my sweetie for doing this. Yeah.